Hey y'all, so there we go. This the rough bore. I went with an 1 1/8. I'm sorry, 1 1/4 hole saw, and it got a little out of round, out of concentric. Yeah, I mean it wasn't exactly in the middle of the marking that was originally on there, but it ends up being okay because I mean we're really close with the reed cage, right? So. Maybe the other mark was a little wrong, I guess. But we went ahead and clamped the isolator onto the other bit, right? And went ahead and used we don't have metric transfer punches, so we had to use one of a little bit smaller than we wanted, but it ended up working. The holes are good and tight. Then we I had to go into the parts cabinet over here and dig up the intake bolts for the RVS for that older model because on this one, as you noticed in the other video, the reed cage sits inside. It doesn't have a flange with bolt holes in it. Like the old reed cage and the old motor do. So the bolts needed to be longer on the old motor compared to this one because, you know, you'll look, this flange is probably 1/4 inch thick, you know. This one here, we'll hold them up together, and I don't want to put this camera in my mouth because when I do that, we drop it, don't we? But you can see what we got going there, right? I mean, the new one is a lot thinner. Plus, the old one had the thickness of the reed cage as well, so it needed extra long bolts. So we stole the old bolts from the that spare bottom end that's really no good to us, and then counterbored after we made sure the holes were right, and bing bang boom, there she is. She's roughed in. We're in the middle of making a gasket because we're gonna need to orientate this thing, you know, and I'll show you exactly what I did. We took the Dicom here and spread it on this surface and then just dropped a piece of bright green construction paper on top of it and let it soak in. You can do it with oil too, but oil tends to ooze into the paper more. This stuff, because it dries up relatively quick, works really good for transferring like this. This is obviously not a place where you want to put something on here and then go tapping on it with something. I mean, you can do that too if like it's, you know, if you got a V8 and it's in the car and you can't get it out, okay, you do what you got to do. But in this instance, it worked out pretty good. Here I am now with the, I'll sit you down, with the punching the hole, you know, locating the hole for it to go through, which is going to also help us orientate the carb to miss the things that we've got going on with the clutch cable and what have you. What I do is we sharpen a socket. I've got a bunch of these different old quarter drive sockets. I got, you know, some of them 3, 4, 5 of the same size. So I just grind them down. And what I did is I took the transfer punch that's the right size for the carb, found a socket that was the right size, right? And then just go ahead and we see what we've got here from the marking on the carb, right? And the hole is centered right in there. So all we really do is we do it by eye, set the socket down on top of the paper, and then just eyeball the distance between the socket and the red marking, and just kind of, as best we can, get that gap the same all the way around. You know, it doesn't need to be perfect. It's not going to the moon. It's going to be a faux gasket, I guess you'd call it. You use the light here. Okay, we'll just go ahead and whack it. Hold on to your pants there, folks. That's it. And bingo. Nice punches a nice clean hole in there. You got to use, the trick is to use something relatively soft. Aluminum. I like to use this Teflon stuff because it'll go right through. You use something like wood, kind of too soft, you'll end up bending the paper. But let's see if it worked out. Looks pretty good. Now let's move it around a little bit. Mm-hmm. It looks pretty good. The bore lines up with the inside of the carb. The bolt holes line up pretty well. Might be off just a hair, but it's what we do now is we went ahead and stuck one of these in here. Went ahead and found the spot where we're going to have to mount the carb. Right, we're going to miss that clutch cable coming out. Well, we'll be able to move that cable housing. Much more, much lower. We'll be able to bend this thing, the cable and everything coming down. So it won't have to run right next to that idle screw, but it's gonna be pretty close, if we don't move it. So that gets the needles aimed up at the driver, and we don't want to have to go reaching too far for them, but that literally puts. I actually got ahead and used the transfer punch through here and just put a couple of marks. They're just about straight up and down. It might be just toward the 1 o'clock, just a tiny little bit, as you see, the holes in the carb are not, they're not straight and flat and square with the carb. So ends up working out. So there we go. That was our little project for Sunday here out in the garage. We're going to get back in and do evening service church, and we got a head start on it. Right, we got a little work to do. We got to remove about 1/8 of an inch all the way around here, but that's what this gasket will come in handy for. We'll be able to use those little punch marks. We just barely put a little punch mark in there, and it'll kind of help us line this thing up as we go ahead and start tuning it up, opening that hole. Like I said, we'll get the aluminum first, then we'll scratch it or transfer that 38.7 millimeter size hole onto that conveyor, and then we can take the conveyor out. We can take this off, take the conveyor out, and sneak up on it by hand as well. And then we'll just do the very last little bit of matching everything to the two different pieces together, just last minute, last little bit. But not a bad gig, eh? Rich got me the aluminum for free from work. It was a scrap piece of aluminum. We didn't spend any money on this project. The carburetor was paid for itself 100 years ago. I mean, we've had that thing for 20 years or more. So just playing around, folks. Just playing around and trying to do it on the cheap. You can do this stuff yourself. I can't believe the old drill press still drills straight holes, after all these years. So that's it from RPM out here. We're cold. It's cold out here. It's about 40, as you can see. So toes are cold. We're gonna head in the house and head in and get some evening church. So that's it for tonight, folks. God bless, Godspeed. We're praying for you. Get to church if you can. If you can't, join me online. Love y'all. We'll talk to you later.